After some dramatic finishes in the quarterfinals, it is down to the final four at the FIFA World Cup. Welcome into another edition of Corner Kicks. Rob Wong joined alongside by national soccer columnist Derek Van Diest, who is in Qatar for the FIFA World Cup. And Derek, we saw a ton of amazing finishes last week during the quarters, and that has led us to where we are now with the two semifinal games this week. Up first, it's going to be Lionel Messi and Argentina against Croatia. Messi versus Modric, clearly the matchup to watch in this one as Argentina come in as the betting favorites. Which crafty veteran is going to come out on top in this one?
Well, this is going to be an interesting game because I think a lot of people do not expect Croatia to be here again after getting to the final 4 years ago. Croatia's got a kind of an older team. Modric is 37, but they're still getting it done. They're finding ways to get it done. They've won in a shootout, and they really just kind of grinding through, and defensively they're playing extremely well. This is a rematch of 4 years ago when Croatia beat Argentina 3-0 in the group stage. We were at the press conferences today, and they said that was 4 years ago. It has nothing to do with the game tomorrow. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Argentina approach this game. They've been playing very well as the tournament has gone along. They didn't start very well. They lost that first game to Saudi Arabia, but you can kind of see them getting to a good rhythm as the tournament went along. And I thought they were the better team against the Netherlands. They gave up 2 late goals in that game where it looked like the game was already put away, and they were able to grind that out and win that in a penalty kick. But it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see how Croatia approaches this, if they're going to try and grind out to get into another penalty shootout, because they are money in penalty shootouts. They don't lose in penalty shootouts. I think they're 4-0 in the last couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see and how aggressive Argentina is trying to go forward and win this game, because I think it's going to be Argentina's attack versus Croatia's defense.
Again, the clock did not strike midnight on Morocco as they stunned Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal to advance. They'll face a French side that definitely was a little bit lucky to escape with a win over England. France, the massive favorite to move on. But could there be, Derek, another Moroccan upset in the making?
Why not? Like, they've upset so many teams so far in this tournament, and they're doing it with sheer will and tenacity, and they're getting great fan support. There's a lot of Moroccan fans here. The stadium is electric when they're playing. It's like obviously like a home game for them. There's so many Moroccan supporters here in Qatar right now. And why not? Why can't they be the underdog that gets all the way to the final? They're really carrying the flag for the region. And they're just doing it on great defensive play. Morocco doesn't give up goals. Canada was the only team to score on them. So that shows you, I guess, how tough Canada's group was when you have the two teams that came out of Canada's group end up in the semifinal. So maybe we have to reevaluate how Canada did in this tournament, just the way Morocco and Croatia has done. But I think they have a great goaltender, Montreal-born goaltender, and they're just so strong defensively. You can't break them down. They're so tough to break down, and they're doing whatever it takes to keep the ball out of their own net, and they're getting the goal. If they get the goal, then they move on to the next one. I think it's you can't count them out just on the sure will and what they want to try and accomplish here at this tournament.
Finally, the tournament took a tragic turn on Friday. A longtime American soccer journalist, Grant Wahl, died covering the World Cup. If you're a North American soccer fan, you definitely know who he is, Derek. But for those that didn't know him, what can you say about his legacy covering the sport in North America?
Well, I think you talk about Grant Wahl, and you basically just how he helped grow the sport in the United States and consequently in North America. I think a lot of Canadians had read his work or knew who he was or had seen him on television. He was such a big figure in the North American soccer scene. And not only just for men's soccer, he was a prominent promoter of the women's game. He wrote a book on David Beckham when David Beckham went to Los Angeles, the Beckham Experiment. I read that book. It was a New York Times bestseller. So he was such a prominent soccer supporter, such a prominent soccer journalist, worked for Sports Illustrated for such a long time. He was here working independently, and he was doing some broadcast work. And I think it's still in shock. I think it happened. It was such a horrific thing, and it had happened here in the Media Tribune, and they had all us North American journalists kind of in the same area, so it happened in front of all the North American journalists. It happened 2 rows in front of me, just mass commotion, and it was really a sad thing to see, and it was really a sad thing to hear that he didn't make it, and it's a huge loss. And I think right now, at first it was such a shocking thing. I think it's starting to settle in that Grant's not around, because he was around, for the Canada games, he was around for the United States games, he was around for all the CONCACAF games, and he was always there and he was always around. So it's a huge loss for soccer in general. It's a huge loss for North American soccer to not have him around, and I think it's still kind of resonating with a lot of the North American journalists that are still here.
Yeah, definitely a massive loss for the soccer community. You can find all of Derek's World Cup coverage at Postmedia and follow him on Twitter at Derek Van Diest.